بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. In the hadith culture, we have different types of books of hadith, different genres. And from those is that which is known as Kutub al-Targhibi wa Tarhib, the books in which the authors mean to encourage and inspire and mean to intimidate and cause fear. Authors, they write books of hadiths, statements and actions of the Prophet ﷺ, which do two initial things, two basic things. The first is targhib, is to inspire you to do good and to do virtuous deeds. And secondly, is they make tarhib, is to, when you read those hadiths, you become afraid, you become scared of doing something which is disliked, doing something which is unlawful, doing something which is a major sin. It's a well-known genre of kutub al-hadith, kutub al-targhib wa tarhib. And it's very important for every single Muslim to read these books, students of knowledge and average layman Muslims, because you constantly need fear and you need hope. And you're constantly, speaking to myself first and foremost, to be reminded of what you should be doing. And you constantly need to be reminded what you shouldn't be doing. So the ulama of hadith, they had a great deal of understanding of the need of spirituality. And it wasn't just technicalities. Halal, haram, sahih, da'if, fulan, akhrajahu. It wasn't just that. As some ignorant people tried to ascribe to them. Zulman wa muhtanan. The scholars of hadith just deal with speaking about people and talking about people. And all they know is isnad and that's it. La. They had a great deal of spirituality, a great deal of zuhd, and a great deal of dealing with raqa'iq, things which soften and melt the heart. And to prove this, and to show the ignorance of their enemies, people who spoke ill of them from the fuqaha, not saying that it's bad to be from the fuqaha, but from those people, or the madhab people who wanted to worship personalities above and beyond the sunnah and what it said. They lied upon them. It's well known. There were wars, between the muhaddithin and between the people of the madhab, whether they're Hanafi or Shafi or whatever. It was known in the past, let alone today. It's well known. So if you read any major book of hadith, you're going to find a chapter of zuhd, a chapter of ma ja'a fi wasf al-jannah, qiyamah, riqaq, heart softening, heart melting narrations, the description of the day of judgment, punishment in the grave. You're going to find this in every major book of hadith. And this is for no other reason except to show you that the sunnah is a major means of spirituality. And it's not just for Sufiya. Even though that term in itself is vague. That term in itself is vague. Sufi, what does it mean? Sufis in the past, Sufis today, that's a vague terminology. But the concept that divorcing the dunya, the concept of turning away from the pleasures of the dunya, is one of the aspects of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But the problem, or the fork in the road between us and others, is that we also have hadiths on the virtue of seeking a living, the virtue of making money. It's virtuous as well to earn a living, to make money, to provide for your family, not to beg. We have hadiths in which the Prophet ﷺ didn't eat, and then we have hadiths in which he did eat. That's the problem now. Hadiths in which the Prophet ﷺ ate fresh fruit. Hadiths in which the Prophet ﷺ ate meat. Hadiths in which the Prophet ﷺ got married. So the problem is they only took a part of the sunnah and they left off other parts. Everybody understand this? And this is the entire concept of having a book of hadith that deals with all of the chapters to show you the completeness of life in the sunnah. You have to make tahara, make the salah, the janazah, the zakah, the fasting, the hajj, jihad, buying, selling, marriage, divorce, kul shay. And not just one aspect. But what we want to read here briefly, bi'idhnillah, is the concept of spirituality in the sunnah. For our benefit, first and foremost, and also to defend the honor of these scholars of hadith and those who say that they just dealt with harsh things, technical things, that's it. And that's wrong. And we see that, or we would say that, one of the biggest, or I would say one of the biggest flaws among people today who ascribe themselves to seeking knowledge and to giving da'wah is the lack of reading and the lack of thorough reading. Most of the answers to the problematic things and the questions that are being spoken about is found right in the books. You just got to read. We just don't read enough. Everybody understand this? We just don't actually sit down, pick up a book. And when you sit down and when you pick up a book, even if you don't understand everything and you have further questions, that is a benefit. Because now I read Sahih Bukhari, I don't understand, so I ask someone who does. And now your knowledge grows. It what? It matures. There's no doubt about that. Seeking something that's problematic, that's unclear, is going to lead you to understanding. But if you don't pick up the book, you don't ever read, then you never learn, you never grow. So therefore, there were many of the people of knowledge who wrote books on a targheeb wa tarheeb. And from the most famous of those books is Riyadh al-Salihin. An-Nawawi's book, rahimahullah, is not from the Kutub al-Ahkam, Kutub Hadith al-Ahkam, Kutub, no. It's from the books on targheeb wa tarheeb. Inspiration and intimidation. Inspiring the reader of the book to do abundant good, obligatory or recommended. And intimidating the reader of that book to avoid anything which is looked down upon Islamically, disliked or haram. Everybody understand this? Nawawi rahimahullah meant to encourage you to do any khair that you could. Fada'il al-amal. Whether it's wajib or whether it is recommended. And you shouldn't make a difference. Do I have to do it? Do I have to do it? Is it a sunnah? Etc. And also to push you away from doing something which is manhi an shar'an, is something that has been prohibited in the sharia. Something that the Prophet ﷺ said don't do. Regardless of the fuqaha and what they say and what they differ over. Is it makruh or haram? It isn't praiseworthy. So that everybody understand the purpose of these books. And that's a famous example of Kutub al-Targhib wa-Tarhib. There's another famous book called At-Targhib wa-Tarhib by Al-Mundhiri rahimahullah, from the great ulama of the past. He wrote a book in which he dealt with these topics as well. And this book was much larger than the book of many other ulama. He had the special things about it is the Husn al-Tartib wa-Tabweeb, is the way that he organized it and how he arranged those hadiths. In that book, he has a chapter, the 5th chapter of the book, which says Kitab al-Salah, Babu Targhib fil Mashi ila al-Masajidi Sayyama fi dhulam. He says in the chapter of prayer, in other words, what is he going to talk about in this chapter? He's going to talk about two things and two things only. What is he going to talk about? We already know he's going to talk about Salah. Something specific, Virtues of Salah, performing it, just the congregational prayer now. Not ليس الباب الكتاب كتاب الصلاة. What is he going to talk about? Just making the congregational salah, that's it? Making the 5 daily salah?
What to do in the salah?
Anything which is good and virtuous from salah. Wajib, mustahab, witr, prayer, tasbih, anything that pertains to what? Fada'il al-salah, doing it. Do I have to make witr or not? Is witr mandatory or not? He's not discussing that in this book. What he's going to give you is what Muhammad ﷺ said regarding the virtue of Salat al-Witr. بغض النظر عن الوجوب إلى آخره. That's what he's going to speak about in this chapter. He's going to talk about the virtue of Salatul-Jama'ah. The virtue of walking to the masjid. Do I have to pray in the masjid? Can I pray in my home? He's not what? لا يتعرض لهذه المسائل الفقهية إنما يحثك ويرغبك في الصلاة. He is only going to inspire you regarding what? Prayer. And the second thing he's going to talk about is what?
Warnings.
Warning you from what?
Abandoning
the salah. Warning the person from not making salah, from not making extra prayers, from not praying in congregation. Can I pray in my house or not? Do I have to, etc.? Sunnah ja'at The sunnah is clearly explaining and telling you, pray in the masjid, pray at night, pray in the morning, pray when you go home. That's it. Inspiration and intimidation. Fahimna al-an? So that's the general concept of the chapter. As a specific bab, he's talking about something. He says to walk to the masjids. Is it haram to drive? Can I not ride? But he said it's recommended to do what? To walk to the masjids. He says, especially when it's dark. When it's dark outside. And he says here, وَمَا جَاءَ فِي فَضْلِهَا. And the superiority of this. The superiority of this. And of the masajid and walk to the masajid. Everybody understand this? So if you park in the parking lot and you walk for a little bit, that's virtuous. If you live close and you walk without driving, that's virtuous. If you found to park a little bit down the street and you walked a little bit, that will be what? That will be virtuous. Everybody understand this? Especially when it's dark, like Fajr time. Everybody clear on this? So the first hadith in which the author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions the famous hadith of Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu, well-known hadith, in which he says, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صلاة الرجل في الجماعة تضاعف على صلاته في بيته وفي سوقه 25 درجة وذلك أنه إذا توضأ فأحسن الوضوء ثم خرج إلى المسجد لا يخرجه إلا الصلاة لم يخطو خطوة إلا رفعت له بها درجة وحط عنه بها خطيئة فإذا صلى لم تزل الملائكة تصلي عليه ما دام في مصلاه اللهم صل عليه اللهم ارحم ولا يزال في صلاة من انتظر الصلاة وفي رواية اللهم اغفر له اللهم تب عليه ما لم يؤذي فيه ما لم يحدث فيه رواه البخاري ومسلم وأبو داود والترمذي وابن ماجه باختصار ومالك في الموطأ. He then says here, the first hadith of the chapter is narrated by Abu Hurairah, which you all know, in which the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, the prayer of a man in congregation is much more virtuous than that of the prayer he performs in his home or in his shop by 25 times. In other words, منهم من يستدل بهذا الحديث على عدم وجوب الجماعة. نقول هذا استدلال بعيد ليس فيه تعرض للحكم وإنما فيه تعرض لذكر الفضل أنها تفضل تلك بغض النظر عن الصحة عدم الصحة الوجوب إلى آخره. فهمنا هذا الشيء؟ هذه نقطة مهمة جدا. نفرق بين وجوه الاستدلالات. نفرق بين هذا وذاك. Some people, they say this hadith proves that you don't have to pray in congregation. That you do not have to pray in congregation, and that if you pray by yourself, your prayer is valid. It's sahiha, it's valid. Because the Prophet ﷺ said the prayer that you make in jama'ah is better 25 more times than the prayer that you make in your house. Even though a person could pray in congregation in his house, hypothetically, or in his souk, his shop, or the marketplace. And it states in another hadith which will come about Salatul-Fadhi, which the hadith clearly states individually, the prayer is what? Fadh. You make by yourself. We say this hadith and those hadiths are not speaking about jama'ah, mandatory or not. But they're only talking about what? The virtue of the jama'ah. And what's meant by the jama'ah in this hadith is what? Is the masjid. Is the what? Is the masjid. Because a person can pray in jama'ah, hypothetically, in the marketplace. 4 brothers get together and they make salah. That's jama'ah. But that is not al-jama'ah. Everybody understand this? A man, if he prayed in his house with his wife and his daughter or his son who's of age, not saying that that's permissible or impermissible, but that is considered to be a what? A jama'ah. But that is not what the Prophet is speaking of. He's speaking of al-jama'ah. He then says, the prayer of a man that's made in jama'ah is more virtuous, is better, is multiplied 25 times. And listen to this hadith, listen to the uslub al-nabawi. He says, وَذَلِكَ. He then explains. And the Prophet did not have to explain, but he gives you the reason why it's better. He says, when somebody performs the wudu in a perfect manner, فَأَحْسَنَ الْوُضُوء, in a perfect manner, he then leaves to the masjid. Before we even get to this far, what's meant, the hadith clearly states what? إِلَى الْإِيش? إِلَى الْمَسْجِد. As the fuqaha, many of them, they say, or the Usuliyin and others, it says, إِنَّ الْأَلْفَاظ قَوَالِبُ الْمَعَانِي. A lot of times the answer to the problem and the question is found right in the text. It's found what? Right directly in the text. He then says, he then goes to the masjid, لَا يُخْرِجُهُ إِلَّا الصَّلَاةِ, and nothing makes him go except for the prayer. In other words, sincerity, ikhlas. I'm not going to the masjid to be seen, or to be heard, or to be noticed. But I'm only going to the masjid because I wish to pray for Allah, Rabbul Alameen. He then says, لَمْ يَخْطُوا خُطْوَةً. He says, every single step that a person will take will be a means of elevation. And every other step that he takes will be a means of forgiveness of sin. Khati'ah, being taken away from him. He then says, giving you more. فَإِذَا صَلَّى. And when a man offers the prayer, the angels will make salah upon him, as long as he sits in the place of the salah. They will say, oh Allah, Allahumma salli alayhi. Listen to that. The angels will beg and pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make salah, to make prayer upon him. And what's meant by that? According to some of the ulama, is Allah to mention the slave among the highest company of angels. Among the highest company of angels. He then says, Allahumma arhamhu. Allah have mercy upon him. And a man will continue to be in salah as long as he waits for the salah. Just think about this one hadith. That's one prayer you make in Jama'ah. Imagine if you made 5 prayers in Jama'ah every single day. How many hasanat? How many sayyat taken away from you? How much dua would the angels make for you to Allah? And their lives, no doubt, those who pray in the masjid consistently on a daily basis, their lives are not like those who don't pray in the masjid. There's different lives. Let alone those, unfortunately, who don't even pray. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. There's no doubt about that. And many of the ulama mention the benefits of praying in congregation. And from those benefits, they say, is that when you leave off the congregational salah, it is the pathway to leaving off the salah. And just stop and reflect with me for 1 second. When you know there's jama'ah, are you not on point with the time of the prayer? Making wudu, waking up, not oversleeping, we have to go to the jama'ah. Now they pray as such and such. They pray as such and such. But when you don't pray in jama'ah, it's different. You ready to make salat? You make salat yet? What we gonna make salat? Wait a second, let's eat first. Let me take a nap. It's different. It's not the same. When you know that you're going to the masjid, especially when it's cold, and when it's dark, I have to get there on time. You have to make sure what? He said that the car starts up. That's a reality. So the jama'ah prayer allows you to preserve the salah. And when you don't pray in jama'ah, it is a means of you not preserving the salah. No one is going to deny that. It's clear. So a lot of times people get into fiqh arguments. Well, I'm Maliki and I'm this and I'm that. And so, yeah, akhi, just go to the masjid and pray in congregation. It's best for your soul. Another benefit of prayer in congregation is that it is a means of getting to know your brother. And it is a means of realizing the state that your brother is in. Because when a regular man that comes to the masjid, you don't see him for a day or two, say, where's Fulan? Where's Abdul Majid? Where's Abdul Aziz? Where's Abu Aisha? Where's Hassan? Where's Well, I didn't see him for 3 days. But when a person only comes to the masjid for Friday, that's at least what? How many days? 7 days that you don't come into direct contact with him. I'm not talking about your personal friend, your close cabinet, but a good brother from the masjid. You don't know where he is. I didn't see Zubayr for Fajr this morning. Something's up. He comes to the masjid Fajr every day. Something's wrong. 2 days go by, 3 days go by, he's sick. Something is going on with his family. Something happened. And that's a benefit. Another benefit of a congregational prayer is that you get the opportunity to teach your Muslim brother who doesn't know as much. And he hasn't learned as much as you've learned. You can teach him physically. Because when you pray together every day, you can see the mistake that he's making in the salah. You can see something that he's doing wrong. Let alone Quran and anything else, but you can teach him. Everybody clear on this? Another benefit of the congregational prayer is that it enrages the munafiqeen. It causes them to be angry and upset. And that is a what? Maqsad shar'i. Ighadatu ahl al-kufr wa shirk. And the maqsad shar'i. And the legislative objective is to enrage the people of falsehood, whether it's kufr, shirk, nifaq, or whatever. As Allah Azza wa Jalla clearly mentions in the Quran, لِيَغِيظَ بِهِمْ إِيش? Allah says to enrage the kuffar through the Muslims. We don't get into that. Okay? We don't get into those issues right now right here in Canada. I'm muhim. what is important is that many Muslims, they're unaware of this and they run away from this. And everything is apologetic and defensive and no, that's not what Allah said. Allah said to enrage them, to make them angry. And just look at the Quran. وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُشْرِكُونَ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. Allah is the one who sent His messenger بِالْهُدَى, with guidance and the true religion. لِيُظْهِرُوا عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ, to make it superior over all other faiths and religions. Are we reading the same Quran today? Those who say interfaith, those who say this and that and so on and so forth, that's not what's meant, it's jihad and nafs and kada and kada and kada and kada. Are we reading the same book? Allah says that's the reason why He sent His messenger. No other reason. لِيُظْهِرَهُ. So the concept of enraging people of kufr and shirk is something from the deen. In other words, when they see the Muslims walking to the masjid, we came to the masjid this morning. He said it's a traffic jam going to the masjid for Fajr. Allahu Akbar. It's car after car, you have to wait to cross the parking lot to go into the masjid after Salatul-Fajr. So someone who's a munafiq, waliyadu billah, he sees that he's going to bite his finger and says, I can't stand the Muslims. Look at them going to pray. And that is a means of ibadah. Everybody understand this? And this is one of the reasons why the Prophet ﷺ would take a different route going to and from the Eid Musalla. They say he would go, walk away, and come back a different way. So he would enrage the munafiqeen. So when they see the Muslims in abundance and strength, they get mad and they get angry. And it lies no doubt. Don't think that people aren't watching you. Allah Alam, maybe somebody from amongst sitting with us. We don't know. But don't think they aren't at least watching us. And they don't like that. Muslims going to the mosque early in the morning, it's freezing cold outside. And they go and they pray in numbers and abundance, causes them rage. Waliyadu billah. So this is from the intentions and the objectives of the what? Jama'ah. Another benefit is to avoid the practice of the munafiqeen and not to be like them. For indeed the munafiqeen in most cases wouldn't come to the masjid when it was dark. They wouldn't come to the masjid when it was too cold. As the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said in the Hadith of Buraidah, Man salla al-bardain dakhala al-jannah. Hadith in Sahihain. Those who pray the two cold prayers will go to paradise. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he told us about the Isha and the Fajr and the barakah that is in them. And if they knew what was in those prayers, they will come walau rukban or rakban ala rukb. He says even if they had to crawl. Oh, Akbar. And he said about the munafiqeen, if they knew that they would get, he says what? A fatty bone. Mirmataini, hasanataini, la shahid al-isha. If they knew they could get a piece of lamb, a lamb shank, they will come to the Isha prayer. And it's very sad. You go to some masjids, and the only time certain people go is in Ramadan when they're giving food. That's it. There lies no doubt. We don't say these people are munafiqeen, we don't know. What we're trying to say is that إنهم شابهوا أهل النفاق. They are resembling the munafiqeen. And it's very, very dangerous. It's a long, long lecture in itself. The concept of resembling the people of nifaq in their actions. And the list goes on, ikhwan, of the beautiful fruits of the Jama'ah prayer. And we didn't even get into, is it mandatory or not? Everybody understand this? We don't even have to talk about that. We don't have to debate on that. And I'm sure, Allah Alam, I can't say I'm sure, but in many masjids, even here in this center, it's been a few times, we'll leave it away like that. Somebody, you give a talk, and they have to come and have to say something. Ya akhi, well, such and such, and blah, blah, blah. It happens all the time. I never said anything about Jama'ah being wajib or not. We didn't get into no fiqh discussions. Abu Hanifa, what he said, what Malik said, what Shafi'i said, what Dawood al-Zahiri said, we didn't get into that. We only mentioned the sunnah to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. And many people, they try to do this and throw a monkey wrench or throw a banana peel on the floor. It happens all of the time. We didn't say that. And many du'at, unfortunately, they suffer from this. They go to a masjid, they go to a center, they speak to someone who has a different view, or different background, or different orientation. And then first thing, Jama'ah is wajibah, you must understand. Ya akhi, why can't you just teach him the sunnah? Why can't you just give him this sweet, fresh piece of fruit from the hadith? And he'll figure it out. And he'll go to the masjid whether it's mandatory or not. Everybody understand this? Last but not least, brothers and sisters, when we study these classical books of the fuqaha, and we learn these different madhahib and what they understood and so on and so forth, it does not mean that everything that is permissible is encourageable and preferable. And it does not mean, everybody clear on this? Just because something isn't mandatory, it doesn't mean that he encouraged you not to do it. Those ulama who said that the jama'ah was not obligatory, it doesn't mean that they said stay away from the jama'ah. It doesn't mean that they encouraged you not to pray. It means he didn't believe that it was a means of sin and abandoning it. That's it. That's what that means. Everybody clear on this? Does a woman have to cover her hands and her face? We know the difference of opinion among the ulama. Those who say that it's permissible and it isn't haram, that doesn't mean that they encouraged it. Some people, you say, why don't you do it? Oh, because it's khilaf. That's another concept. Using khilaf as dalil. That's not dalil. Khilaf is not proof. Khilaf is a means of you not refuting me. Khilaf is a means of, I have a different understanding. But khilaf is not the hujjah. Why do you do this? People say, because khilaf. That's wrong to say. I do this because I feel it's correct. Because I was taught in my country, this is how we make salat. I don't do something because of this difference of opinion. Everybody understand this? But these are all long discussions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We ask Allah to give us this ajr from this hadith today, right now. Ameen. Wallahu ta'ala alam, sallallahu sallam wa baraka, abdi rasulina Muhammad. That was just one hadith. Many hadith in the chapter. Perhaps we'll read them. Allahu alam, when we'll see each other again.
Inshallah. Comes back and is there with us. Spiritual,